What's going on, everybody? Nick Kosko with you. As you know, I'm on Big Ten Plus, voice of the Rutgers Wrestling team, along with my broadcast partner, Matt Howe. It's NCAA's now already. I can't believe it. The season has flown right by. Big Ten's in the rearview mirror. And, of course, tonight, please be joined by head coach Scott Goodale. Coach, glad to have you on this evening. It's been a wild season. So before we even dive into the NCAA's, of course, as the seedings just came in as well last night, just your thoughts real quick on this season, where it was basically a return to normalcy compared to last year's shortened year, full dual meet season. Obviously, you got Big Tens out in Lincoln, Nebraska last week. I mean, how can you put that all into words as we head to Detroit just a week now?
Well, it starts out where you're just super excited to be back with fans, a normal season, a normal November, a normal December, and then, of course, into the Big Ten schedule, January, February, and, of course, Christmas break and all that stuff that goes with a really long season. So just being excited and then realizing you got probably going to wrestle 6 freshmen. So that was something that we were very conscious of. We're very aware of it, kind of knew it, and tried to shorten the season as best as we possibly could. But certainly great to have fans back. It was certainly great to be on the road in a normal atmosphere, normal structure, to be wrestling some quads, to be wrestling some tri-meets, and of course to get away for Christmas for a tournament. So all that was good. And that brings us into last weekend was the Big Ten tournament in an incredible atmosphere out in Lincoln, Nebraska, a really great Big Ten tournament. Just a lot of fun to be around. And it's the field, as we'll get into the brackets, of course, a little bit here, but the field has so much more star power, because these guys are a lot of guys from across the programs: Iowa, Ohio State, Penn State, Minnesota, Michigan. There's a lot of 7-year guys. So that's a lot of firepower coming back to every other program. So it made for a really interesting Big Ten tournament. Obviously, one of the better guys, Spencer Lee, was not there. But for the most part, you're running 5, 6, 7 deep at every single weight class that have an opportunity to win those weight classes. So made for a great Big Ten tournament. And here we are now, a week out from the national tournament, which I'm sure has everybody on this call excited.
For sure. When we look back at Lincoln, Nebraska last week, very tough tournament, as you've told me for years now. This is the toughest tournament in the country, toughest tournament in the world, arguably, just based on the depth that the Big Ten has. Of course, even this year, 184 pounds, for example, 12 allocated spots automatically at the NCAA's for next week. What were your biggest takeaways from the Big Ten tournament last week? I know you guys got 7 national qualifiers out of the 10 guys in the lineup, but that was, again, you look at guys like Robbie Kennard, Andrew Clark, and Boone McDermott. Tough draws, but decent performances as well. What was your overall takeaways when you guys went in and then came out of Lincoln, Nebraska last week?
To start, I was pleased, right? Because we got 7 guys through on their own. The first time since they started the allocation process, we didn't have to sit around for 3 days and talk to coaches and find out from the committee, is there a chance for a wild, find out really from media, is there a chance for our guy to have a wild card? We kind of knew Robbie, based on his season, Clark and Boone, they weren't going to get a wild card. So we understood that. So at first we were really, we still are pleased that we were able to get out of that tournament incredibly healthy. For the most part, I'm sure we'll touch on Seb, but we're healthy. And we got 7 guys through without even having to worry about wild cards. So we can get back here on a Monday and have business as usual and get ready and start to prepare for the national tournament, continue to heal up. We got out of the tournament healthy. That was awesome. That's a big thing. And Nick, because we've talked about this a lot, that's always been our main goal. I'm very realistic when it comes to this tournament. We've been there many times. And even when we had Suriano and Ashnault, it was always about getting through this tournament healthy. And I think every coach thinks that way. And you see a lot of these medical forfeits that go on, and they go on for a reason. There's no doubt about it. And guys are banged up, guys, they're hurt, and it's our program for the most part incredibly healthy right now. Knock on wood, we stay that way, and those are the biggest takeaways I take. Obviously, we want to contend to be in the top 3 at that tournament. It is the best tournament. It's loaded with star power, but I'm just happy our guys are able to qualify. And then the negative side of it is you want to place as high as possible. And in some spots, maybe we didn't do that. We just wrestled 2-hour seed, which kind of maybe hurt us come national tournament seeding. But for the most part, our guys are placed where I think they should be placed. Maybe Paz was a little high, but that's probably based on his last month of the season. maybe Balzac could have been a little bit lower, but maybe he needed to win one or two more at the Big Ten tournament. So all that being said, I'm okay with the draws. I love where our guys are at. I know our guys are super excited to compete again.
So we'll go up and down the lineup, and I know you touched on the medical forwards as well, so we'll circle back to that as well. Starting at 125, Dylan Shawver, still a freshman, just based on everyone had the free year last year. So he came out firing. I mean, I know he came on late last year, nearly made a run to NCAAs at the Big Ten tournament in 2021. But this year, he gets the 23rd seed. What do you make of his draw against Michael DeAugustino from Northwestern, who had a great Big Ten tournament, gets him first? What do you make of Dylan Shawver, his performance this year, and him going into Detroit next week?
I love where he's at. He just keeps getting better every day. He's a tough son of a SOB. I'll say that SOB is, and he doesn't care. Like, a little disappointing. He's 23. I mean, it goes really unnoticed that he beat the kid who took third in the country last year, first round again, beat Mitch McGee again. But what Mitch McGee does, he bounces back real well, like he did at the national tournament last year, and takes third in the Big Ten, where Dylan was seventh. Obviously, he ran into Suriano right away, but I thought he wrestled really, really well in the Big Ten tournament. I mean, I believe Heinzelman, Ohio State, kind of has his number. That's somebody he's really going to have to close the gap on. But other than that, other than maybe the top 5 or 6, 7 guys in the country, Dylan's going to be right there. I anticipate this first round match being a really, really good first round match, very super competitive, one that we certainly feel we can win. And it's going to come down to whether he's able to get off the bottom. Obviously, this kid is very stingy, but I think there's an advantage for us in a neutral position. We have to take advantage of that and score in that position, and then see where we're at, whether we go on bottom or not. But those are some of the things to look at. But this kid is very hard to get away from. He wins a lot of close matches, and he likes to win easy. He doesn't like to really make it hard, so we got to really make it hard on him. But a guy who's been around the Big Ten and the national scene for a long, long time. But we expect this to be a really good match. We like where Dylan is in the bracket.
Going over to 133, Joey Oliveri got the automatic spot at 133 pounds. He was not in the original starting lineup this year. He came in for Sammy Alvarez in the middle of the season, but he took it and ran with it. 21-9 on the season. He's the 22 seed in the bracket, takes on Devin Turner of Oregon State. What do you make of Oliveri's draw here? And of course, how he fared in his first Big Ten tournament, where basically this season he was thrown to the wolves, thrown right into the fire, right into the thick of the Big Ten season.
Yeah, I think with Oliveri, we felt he could compete. There's no doubt about it. We knew we had 2 really good guys, and this was a possible situation that would come up, and sure enough, it did. And like you said, he took it and ran with it. And just the way his character and the way he handled those 4 matches, he had the top, 4 guys in the top 10 right away. So again, maybe to start the tournament, a bad loss to Purdue, but to end the tournament, he beats the number 12 kid in the country from Indiana. So I don't know if his wins, really, I guess I'm not sure the seed off the top of my head. What is he, 20, 21?
He's the 22 seed, yeah.
22 seed. So I thought that win that he had to end the tournament, the Big Ten tournament, beat number 12, was really going to help him get higher. But love where he's at. We have experience with Devin Turner. Sammy has a win over Devin Turner at the Navy Classic a couple years back, so we're familiar with him. We've watched a lot of tape on him. Again, I like to draw. This kid, Oliveri, like Shawver, just gets better and better every single day. He loves wrestling. He's learning, spending a lot of time with Anthony, Coach Pollard. When I say Anthony Ashnault. So both of those guys are really getting better. And the best part about them is this time of year, you want guys that are hungry to compete, and they're so looking forward to this tournament. And it's a great experience for both of them.
Both Shawver and Oliveri just freshmen, so they have long Rutgers careers ahead of them. 141 is what everybody wants to talk about. Sebastian Rivera, number 3 seed, basically where everyone expected he was going to be. Of course, a lot of people want to talk about what happened at the Big Ten tournament. He medically forfeits out of the semifinal match against Iowa's Jaden Ironman, who in turn did it in the finals against Penn State's Nick Lee. And there was a lot of chatter about medical forfeits, whether it was Iowa, some other teams doing it as well. But ultimately, Rivera was hurt against Princeton. Obviously, he had a very visible knee injury. Going into NCAAs, just first, what does his health status look like? He looked pretty healthy to me, at least in his first 2 matches at Big Tens. And what exactly went into that decision to go, you know what, we're just going to sit you out. We know you guys want him to wrestle Ironman. He wants to wrestle Ironman, but we're going to pull back just this once.
Yeah, well, you guys most of the people on this call saw him got hurt against Princeton. He got scoped that very next day, actually on a Monday, and was back training his body on a Tuesday. So incredible turnaround. We were very, very cautious of any type of infection that could occur. So we kept him off the mat for a week. But by Big Tens, he was hungry and ready to wrestle. And our plan all along was maybe one match. And then he looked so good in the first match, he wanted to keep wrestling. Then it was two matches. And then for sure, we were going to pull him out. But as we started to get in the night session and took a look over on mat 2, Ironman's wearing a big brace, and there's some serious injury there as well. The problem is Seb kind of talked to Jade and said, listen, he's just got this, I'm not a punk. I want to wrestle you, but I'm not ready to go right now. I'll see you in 2 weeks type situation. So they kind of talked about it, and it was, I think Ironman would have probably forfeited to Seb if it was his mindset to go. So all along, that was our plan. 2 matches, get out of there healthy. He's incredibly healthy. I truly believe he could have wrestled the tournament, but this was our plan. He was going to be the 3 seed because of the medical forfeit, and by rule, he never had a loss. So we knew he'd be the 3 seed based on win percentage. And that's where he is. He's in a great spot in the back bracket. He's super healthy. He's had 3 incredible days of training where he's back to where he was before Princeton. He never really slowed. It's an incredible story. But that was really a lot of dialogue with coaches, but that was Seb. If Seb said to us, I really want to wrestle this semifinal, he would have wrestled. So it was in his hands now. There's nothing there. He's ready to go and excited about it. And we knew this matchup would come sooner or later. And I know Seb will be there. I feel very confident Seb will be there. At least I'm hoping he'll be there. But he's on his game right now, and he's had a couple of really, really good days of training.
Yeah, the way the brackets are set up, Rivera, the 3rd seed, Jaden Ironman of Iowa, the 2 seed on a collision course for the semifinals. Of course, Penn State's Nick Lee, the defending champion, the number 1 seed at the top of the bracket. 149, Mike Van
Not to cut you off, Nick, but that you look at that Chad Red in there, like Chad Red, I thought maybe a 4 or 5 seed at the national tournament. He didn't even get out of the Big Tens, but he did get a wild card. And you may see that Thursday night. That Chad Red Dresden Simon match Thursday night or Thursday morning is big, and Seb gets the winner of that. So something to look at there. Who comes out of that first round match? Because both of those guys, Simon went to overtime with Ironman, and obviously Chad Red is a 4-time All-American. So pretty interesting Thursday night match for Sebastian.
Very interesting bracket, top to bottom. Chad Red, the 19th seed from Nebraska. Dresden Simon, the 14th seed. At 149, Coach Mike Van Brill back in the tournament. We know what he did last year in the Big Ten tournament, taking 3rd. Tremendous run, but unfortunately had the 0-2 stint in NCAAs in St. Louis last year. But hey, he wrestled really well in the Big Tens. Once again, he's always right there with the top guys, can knock off some of these top guys. He gets the 12th seed at 149 pounds. What do you make of Mikey Van Brill in his last go around here in Detroit?
I'm excited for him. I think he's wrestling a guy he beat opening day. Now, what does that mean? That means nothing. That was 4 weeks or 4 months ago, but it's somebody he's familiar with and feels good about the draw. So I like that. And then his next round match, if he's fortunate enough to win, is somebody who doesn't know him and has no experience with Mikey. So that could be tricky too. I'd rather him wrestling those guys as, instead of a Big Ten type guy, if you kind of understand what I'm saying there. So like where he's at, 12 seed in a really deep weight. Mikey's losses are to all the guys in the top 10. Sasso, Lovett, Murin, and there's another one in there I'm forgetting. But he's battle tested for sure. He's excited. This is it. This is it for him. This is his last go around. He's in a really good frame of mind. He didn't wrestle that 5 and 6 match at the Big Ten. Mikey's pretty smart. Mikey probably thought, why wrestle it? Which that's not our style, but he was kind of banged up from the Princeton dual meet as well. So he wrestled enough. He wrestled 5 times, and it wasn't going to affect his seed at all. So pretty smart kid. And sometimes when coaches are go, sometimes these kids who've been around 7, 8 years, they may be a little bit smarter than us. So ended up working out for him. 12th seed is a good spot, and he's got to make a run. He's got to get after it, and he has an opportunity, and he's put a lot of time into this one goal. So we'll see what happens with it.
That 4th loss you're referencing was to Austin Gomez from Wisconsin, who just won the big. So to your point, all the top guys, and he's right there with them as well. 174, we're jumping up a couple weight classes. Connor ONeill sneaking in there. He got the automatic bid as well at Big Ten, he was in that 7th, 8th place match over at Big Ten. So he is in. What'd you make out of him, considering no one really expected him to really see this much time in the lineup this year? Because again, Jackson Turley was coming back. He was an All-American for you guys last season, but he goes out, season-ending shoulder surgery. ONeill steps in. hit and miss basically in the lineup this year. He's had his moments, obviously, again, against other guys in the Big Ten. He struggled a little bit. There's some absolute hammers at that weight, of course, but he's in. He's the 33rd seed, so he has that pigtail match on Thursday morning. What'd you make out of Conor ONeill and what he brought to the table over the last stretch of the season?
Well, I'm just happy for him. It's a perfect example of why you keep showing up every day and fighting every single day when things aren't going your way. You show up and you put your best foot forward because you never know. And we talk about it all the time with our guys. You never know. Even as I look at the brackets today, you can't go, well, if I win this one and lose this one and win this one, and then I get this guy on the backside. You can't do it because you just have no idea what's going to happen. You have no idea who's going to show up and medical out. You have no idea who's hurt, who's not hurt, who wants to be there, who doesn't want to be there. So he showed up and, he won one match. And next thing you know, there's a medical default because a guy blew out his knee. That's the tournament. So because of it, he's in the national tournament. You're right. Not a great year, 13 and 15. He kind of filled in, and it hasn't been the best of years for Kai. He's been ups and downs, and went through the gauntlet of our conference and took some butt kickings. There's no question about it. But I think in the long run, it's going to make him better. And there's nothing better than this experience. And it's just about sticking through it. Where guys, especially nowadays, forget wrestling, in any sport, when things get hard, there's a lot of guys that put their head between their legs and run away. Let me leave. Let me transfer. Let me quit. Let me stop doing it. He showed up every day and worked every single day. And when you do that, good things happen. And I'm not saying Conor's ready to make a run at an All-American status. I'm not saying he's ready to knock off Carter Storazzi, who waits the number one seed. What I'm saying is he paid his dues, and good things happen when you do things right. And I'm just proud that he stuck it out, and now he's at the national tournament when nobody, probably on this call or in our fan base, believed he would be at this tournament.
Well, he's in there now, so we'll see what he can do on Thursday morning as he has an opportunity to wrestle twice, actually. If he wins that pigtail, he'll take on, of course, you mentioned the defending champion, Storazzi, in the first round. At 184, John Poznansky took fourth last year at the national tournament as a true freshman, still technically a true freshman based on the waiver from last year, but he gets the 20th seed. I know it wasn't the best of ends to the season for him over the last month plus. He had a tough Big Ten tournament as well. But Poznansky, everyone knows, all the fan base knows how good he is, how good he can be. I know when I was talking to you before the second day of Big Tens down in Lincoln, Nebraska, just watching him warm up and saying, that's the guy that people fear. I think people fear or at least in that bracket, they fear that type of guy in John Poznansky. What'd you make out of him, and how do you think he'll fare with this seeding now that basically his back's against the wall as the 20th seed, double-digit seed, when he took fourth on the podium last year?
Yeah, it's hard to figure, and I'm sure a lot of people on here are asking why, what has happened, and hard to answer, but I got a week to figure it out, and we have a week to figure it out. And I thought he was in really good spirits Sunday morning, where he had two more matches technically, and he just didn't wrestle. And for whatever reason, those guys didn't wrestle, and John got two forfeits, unfortunately, two medicals. So I really wanted to see him compete Sunday because I thought, maybe the pressure's off. This will be a good John Poznansky. But again, he seems unbelievably motivated today. He had a great workout. We have to figure it out. And it starts with Cochran, the kid from Maryland, who we haven't scored a point on yet. John hasn't scored on him yet. So is it a good draw? He hasn't scored on him yet. So we better figure that out. And we have 7 days to do it. And we'll watch a ton of film. But I think at this point, it's not to overload his brain or anything. Let's just go wrestle. And now the pressure is off, right? We're not the 6 seed like last year. We're a 20 seed, and it hasn't been the best month. But if he gets going and he gets going in the right way, he could be incredibly dangerous. And it's going to be totally up to him right now. There is no injury. He's fine. It's just going through it right now, and that's not the time you want to go through it. But the good thing about the national tournament, it's really a brand new season, and you're going to see a lot of upsets along the way, and hopefully John's on the right end of one.
Just real quick to piggyback off that, you mentioned him wrestling Cochran again, who he has in the first round. Cochran's really come along for Maryland this year, and he's beaten Poznansky twice. So when you, in your mind, when you have a guy like John Poznansky wrestling this kid for a third time, he's lost to twice. How do you change that mindset, or how do you change the game plan exactly, knowing that you've seen this guy twice in two different settings? Now you have him a third time in the biggest setting in the country. Yeah,
it's a great question, man. You look at film, you watch film, and what's working and what's not working. I mean, we obviously are very comfortable with what John does, but is what he does, is that working? Is there something we need to change up? Is there a strategy? Are there match tactics that need to be changed up? Maybe we need to ride them. Maybe we need to stay on top instead of letting them go. Maybe we need to really pay a lot of attention to mat wrestling. Maybe we need to be a little bit more risky from the bottom position where John usually is so good. And now maybe there's a little fear of that based on what happened in a Michigan State match. Well, now there can't be fear, right? You got to go with what brought you. You got to go with where you're good. And there can't be fear or chances of taking risks to try to beat somebody. So I think there's a little bit of that goes into it, a little bit of mindset, but a lot of tactical stuff and how you handle periods and what does the end of periods look like and how important are finishing periods. I think that's stuff we'll talk to John about. But maybe it's when we're in a neutral position, we got to find a way to score. And that means we got to find a way to get to his legs. And maybe what we're doing now, the first two matches didn't work. Now we'll probably have to change some things up.
Final guy, Greg Balzac at 197, the 14th seed. He gets a tough one in Cornell's Jacob Cardenas, 19th seed. Balzac, same thing, Coach. You look at the trajectory of his season was going way, way up. He defeats the defending national runner-up in Nino Bonacorsi of Pitt. And then he had his bumps in the road, but I thought he did a tremendous job at the Big Ten tournament, particularly with Gavin Hoffman of Ohio State. Got that match back in a big win in a tournament setting. What do you make of Greg Balzac at his last go-around? He's now a rare 5-time NCAA qualifier, and he has one last chance at that podium. What do you make of his draw and how he basically bounced back in the Big Ten tournament?
I like where he's at. Yeah, I like the way he wrestled at the Big Ten. I mean, what he did to the Ohio State kid, I was thinking to myself, man, would have loved to see that February 6th, right? That would have been nice. But that's part of it. And but he made adjustments. He made adjustments to really do a good job in that match. And he was able to score a takedown, get on top, score a turn. And that's where Greg's really good. Transition offense from a takedown to a turn. I thought he wrestled really well against the Wisconsin kid who's a world champ. Amos, again, for the third time. It's hard to beat somebody 3 times. So, yeah, he had a really good Big Ten tournament. He's locked in. He's the one guy. Yeah, there were bumps in the road, but that's a really, again, all top 10 guys on any given day can go either way. So I like the way he handled it. I know he knows this is his last opportunity. I don't think there's a whole heck of a lot of pressure there. I just think he's in a good frame of mind to do well at this tournament. And we're familiar with Cardenas. He's a Cornell kid, but he's also a Bergen Catholic kid. He's a New Jersey kid. So there's some familiarity there. So we like where he's at there. And then, of course, the 3 seed waits if he's fortunate enough to win. But I think you'll see a really good version of Greg Balzac, no doubt about it. I really do. And I think he'll be hanging around come Friday night with an opportunity to be an All-American.
So just to kind of put a bow on it, Coach, for these 7 guys, obviously Sebastian Rivera is the main guy out of this group, of course, you know, popularity-wise, skill-wise, based on his seeding. He's a national title contender. A couple other guys, such as, you know, Poznansky, Balzac, Mike Van Brill, really all of them. You never know what can happen. We have a couple guys that have chances for the podium once again this year, another chance to get multiple All-Americans in another season and possibly another national champ. So just overall, how do you look at this tournament? And again, I know basically I know you personally don't want it to always be all about March. You love the dual season. You love the Big Ten tournament. Then you love NCAAs right off that, all right in a row. But for these last 3 days right here in March, how are you looking at this for this year's squad compared to years past?
This is, I mean, you said it best. It doesn't matter what I like. It's all about these 3 days, and nobody cares what's happened the first 5 months. It's about these 3 days. And I absolutely believe we have a national title contender. It is a hard thing to come by. It's a hard thing to do. And we're fortunate, right? We had 2 in 2019 and an opportunity this week for sure. And then I truly believe we got guys that are going to win matches there. I believe we have guys that can win some matches at this tournament. And when you start winning at this tournament, crazy things happen. Anthony Perotti was never supposed to be an All-American. He was 8-8 when he went into the tournament and was seated very, very low, but he got hot. And I could be wrong on 8-8. Maybe he was 11-8, but whatever the case might be. But then he got hot. So my point is, crazy things happen at this tournament. Scott Del Vecchio was down 6-2 in the 3rd period against Austin DeSanto. And he made this incredible run to beat him and become an All-American. Johnny Van Brill on the flip side was up 8-5 with 27 seconds and lost. So crazy things happen. You just have to keep wrestling. I absolutely believe we have guys that could be around come Friday night. with an opportunity. And I certainly believe we have a national title contender, which will make Saturday night electric if we're fortunate enough. But I think all in all, there's nothing like this tournament. It's the best tournament going. I'm very loyal to the Big Ten and that tournament because I think that's the hardest one. But there's a lot of excitement here, and it's the last 3 days. And I know we'll have a lot of fans out there that are fired up, and we're excited. We have our social between rounds, and there was nothing like having a social from 3 to 6 and then the national finals at night. So we're looking forward to doing that again and seeing all our fans out there. And hopefully we put on a good show, and we're fortunate enough to have some guys wrestling on Saturday.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time as always. Cannot wait for next week. Big thanks to everybody who showed up tonight as well from the SKWC. Looking forward to seeing all you guys out there as well in Detroit. Coach, good luck as always. I'll see you out there in less than a week now. I still can't believe it's already here, but we'll see you in Detroit next week, man.
All right. You guys enjoy the Big Ten tournament out there. Go RU, beat Iowa. I'll see you guys.